We'll start by preparing the trusses for the shelter. This is done by assembling the parts A8 as the posts to part A6, which is the upper rafters. And each side of the truss system will be connected with part A4, joining them together, and below that part A7 is a cross member which stabilizes it. Now we will start assembling the base, attaching the pieces together using the columns F1, the fasteners, to put them together, and part J8 will join them. We'll bend the prongs up and install the screws and continue to lay out the foundational pieces. We attach the part J1 into the corner to secure the foundation together, and here you can drill your hole for the anchoring bolt, which is now installed and expanded by tightening the nut. And the same thing for this corner. And now we'll place part J1 on top and drill more anchoring holes, and followed by our expansion bolt to be installed to anchor the structure again. And here we're just installing the rest of the anchoring bolts. And now we can begin laying the siding for the unit. As you can see, P4 goes first, followed by P3, and each of these are held in by the screws at the bottom, F1, and then the S3 will go on the back side to protect the sharp edge. Now the 23L is laid inside as the framing, along with the 6R on the back side of the panel. Place P4 on the opposite corner with P2 perpendicular to it. Secure them in place with the self-tapping screws, and then you may lay down part 6L and 23R to continue framing. Proceed to prepare P10 and P3 on the front right corner of the shed, and secure these in place with part F1. Then you may continue to put 12R in the center of the frame and proceed with the rest of the corner paneling. Now we'll begin assembling the top half of the framing. Place 8R and 8L on their respective sides of the top half of the siding. Affix them in place with part F1 and place the truss columns into the center of the structure as shown. They can be secured with part F1. Begin laying the framing across the top with part 8 to complete the frame. Now you can continue to add the siding as shown. Secure them in place using part F1 and make sure to only overlap the corrugations by one strip and line up the self-tapping screw holes. Line the inside with part 22 for the frame and secure it with part F1 and S3. You can begin preparing the flashing for the door with part 35 on the top, 25L on the left, and 25R on the right, and secure it with the respective fasteners. Now you may continue to line the back of the shed with its panels as shown. Secure them in place with part F1 and S3. Continue to line the panels on the other side of the shed as shown and secure them in place with their respective fasteners. Place part 22 on the inside of the wall that you just assembled and put the fasteners in place as shown. Now you can begin lining the top half of the back of the shed. Place part 10L and 10R on the back of the shed in their respective positions. You can begin assembling the flashing for the front door using 5R, 5L, and B6. Secure it in place as shown with its respective fasteners from each side. Begin placing the framing on the top half of the front section of the shelter using 7R and 7L, and lay part A10 across the top as the frame for it to be covered by part 7. Place the brackets J4 on each corner of the door and fix them in place, and then you may proceed to put the peak of the structure on with parts 21L and 21R. Put the vents in place along with the rest of the framing and secure it down. Here we're putting the cross members across part 12 between the center columns. Fix them in place as shown with part A5. Part F2 will secure them further, and then you may proceed to install the rest of part 12 in their respective position. Assemble the rest of the peak using part 13 and 14, secure in place with part F2. Now you may begin assembling the roof of the structure. Place the panels as shown with their respective part numbers and drill the holes with their outer diameters as shown and put the self-tapping screws in according to where the frame is inside the structure. Then put the ridge cap on and continue to assemble the rest of the roof. As you can see, we'll just continue to place the panels down, overlapping each other by one corrugation and fastened in place with part F1 and S3 on the back side to protect. Then you may finish the peak with the parts of the ridge cap number 20, which is held down by the same self-tapping screws. And on the back side of the structure, part 17 and 18 will line the peak in order to create a flashing. Place GE on the end of the peak and secure it in place with F1, and place 15-1 and 15-2 on either side of the shed. This is held in place with part F1. And put part GC to secure the corners. Then you may continue to line the roof with part 15 and 15-3 as shown, and then hold it in place with F1 and S3. And do the same on the back side as shown with part 15-1 and 15-2 until you get to the center, where you will finally place part 15. Now we'll begin preparing the front door with parts 43 and 29 and 29-1. Proceed to frame the door with part 44 and place the paneling with D1 and the cross member with part 50, which is secured with part F1 and F2 in the center. Then you can complete the fastening as shown on either side of the door. Place part 48 and 49 as reinforcements and hold them down with F1. Put H2 at the base of the door as a lock and part 36 at the other end, which is held in place with F1. Complete the rest of the fastening and you're ready to assemble the door with the rest of the shed. Hold the door in place with parts F3. Repeat the same steps as before to complete the door. We'll begin preparing the man door with parts 40, 41, and D2 as the paneling. Use part 39 to reinforce the center and fix it in place with parts F2. Now complete the fastening as shown in the video and place the rest of the reinforcements, part 37 and 38, across the other parts of the door. Continue to fasten as shown and place part B6 as the hinges so you can attach the door to the rest of the structure as shown with part F3. Now you may place your clasp, part H3 with part F3 to lock your shed and keep it protected. Proceed to place part H1 and B5 and fasten it down in place. And repeat the same steps on the front door. Now we're placing our door handles, part B5, which is held down by part F2. And the shed is now complete.